All right, so we're diving into James Gunn's DC universe.
Yeah.
And, we're talking all things Comic-Con from The Hollywood Reporter.
Okay.
This Creature Commandos thing sounds wild. Frankenstein?
Yeah.
A GI robot? A weasel?
Yeah, it's like a what is he thinking kind of.
Right.
But knowing Gunn, there's a method to the madness, right? He took a talking raccoon and a tree, and somehow we were invested.
That's true.
So now he's going for that same kind of blend of weird and heartfelt, but way darker this time. Almost like an Eastern European film vibe.
Interesting. So like Guardians of the Galaxy, but directed by...
Guillermo del Toro, maybe?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Which makes sense because Gunn keeps saying how he wants each part of his DC universe to stand out.
And he really seems to be into the tone of each project.
Yeah, for sure. And with Creature Commandos, it sounds like we're getting a grittier, more action-packed story than your usual superhero flick.
And from what I've heard, it sounds like it still has that classic Gunn humor.
Oh, definitely.
The Hollywood Reporter mentioned some pretty wild scenes.
Oh.
Even the actors were joking about how out there it gets.
It's a tough balance, though, right? Trying to make us laugh when you've got these characters dealing with some seriously dark stuff. It can't just be a monster bash. You got to have those emotional layers, too.
Which, knowing Gunn, probably means we'll be laughing 1 minute and then grabbing the tissues the next.
Right.
So, okay, let's talk about this whole animation to live action thing, because that's where things get really interesting.
For sure.
Rick Flag Sr. showing up in Creature Commandos and then in the new Superman. What's the strategy there?
Good question. I think Gunn's trying to weave together this giant interconnected web.
And he seems to be using everything at his disposal.
Yeah, this kind of crossover potential is exciting, don't get me wrong.
That could be huge.
But it could also backfire spectacularly.
It's a risk, for sure.
It's like he's saying, pay attention to everything I do because it's all connected.
And you never know when these worlds might collide.
Right, exactly. And it sounds like he's even casting with that in mind.
What do you mean?
Well, the article said Gunn's already thinking about which Creature Commandos actors could potentially play their roles in live action down the line.
Wow, that's thinking long term.
It is.
This guy's playing chess while everyone else is stuck on checkers. It's kind of impressive.
Definitely. But it does make you wonder, is this level of interconnectedness even sustainable?
Right, like how much can you really connect these movies without it becoming too much?
Exactly. Will casual viewers need a DC encyclopedia just to follow along?
That's the million-dollar question. It's a tough balance to strike between rewarding hardcore fans and alienating newcomers. It'll be interesting to see how Gunn handles that.
For sure, yeah. It's going to be a real tightrope walk, for sure.
So speaking of tough acts to balance, let's talk Superman.
Superman, legacy.
Yeah, Gunn seemed pretty fired up about David Cornsweet,
He did seem impressed.
calling him like a once-in-a-generation talent even.
Well, and not just the acting. I mean, have you seen this guy? He looks the part, too.
He totally does. And with Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, talk about a power couple.
Right. I think Gunn knows exactly what he's doing with that pairing.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he's got a plan.
Oh, he's got a plan, all right. And a very furry one at that. Remember how we were talking about Curveball?
Wait, are you talking about Crypto? The dog.
Crypto, the super dog himself. Apparently a major part of the story now.
Wow, okay, so I did not see that coming.
Gunn even said that adding Crypto was a game changer for the script.
Huh. So does that make the movie more lighthearted then? More fun for the whole family?
That's a good question. It could go either way, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Crypto lightens the mood, brings some of that classic Gunn humor. Or maybe...
Or maybe Gunn uses Crypto to really tug at the heartstrings.
Exactly. That classic boy and his dog bond, you know? It'll be interesting to see which direction they go.
No matter what, it's going to get people talking.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of unexpected directions, did you see what Gunn had to say about Supergirl?
Woman of Tomorrow.
Yeah. He called it a unique take on the character, and from what I gather, it sounds like they're pulling a lot from Tom King's run on the comics.
Okay, so for those of us who haven't read every single comic book, what does that actually mean for the movie?
Well, King's writing is known for being very character-driven, very emotionally complex.
So we're not talking about your typical superhero origin story.
Right. Instead of just big action set pieces, think more along the lines of really digging deep into Supergirl's head, you know?
Yeah.
Her motivations, her flaws, exploring what it means to be super in a world that's often anything but.
Interesting. Less punching robots, more pondering the meaning of life.
Exactly. Which, knowing Gunn, isn't that surprising, is it?
Not at all. And speaking of Gunn's enthusiasm, did you see what he said about lanterns?
Oh, yeah. He seemed really excited about that one, especially Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart.
Yeah, wasn't that the guy Gunn almost cast as Adam Warlock?
That's the one. So clearly he sees something special in Pierre.
And it sounds like Pierre's going to have a lot to work with. From the way Gunn was talking, Lantern sounds pretty intense.
He did call it a grounded and real take on Green Lantern.
Which seems kind of crazy when you think about it, right?
How so?
I mean, these are space cops with magic rings.
That's a good point. But I think that's what Gunn's going for. Finding the humanity in these larger-than-life characters.
Stripping away all the cosmic stuff to get to the heart of who they are.
Right. It's more about their struggles, their responsibilities as lanterns, the weight of it all, you know?
Okay, so before we move on, any updates on Peacemaker Season 2?
Oh, yeah. Gunn confirmed they're already filming.
Awesome.
And apparently John Cena is even funnier this time around.
Even funnier. That's hard to imagine.
I know, right? And get this. Greg Mottola directed a couple of episodes.
Great. Superbad Greg Mottola.
The one and only.
Okay, now that is a collaboration I did not see coming. Superbad meets Peacemaker. Sign me up.
Right. Who knows what those episodes are going to be like?
Honestly, after that wild first season of Peacemaker, I'm ready for anything Gunn throws at us.
Me too.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
What's that?
Gunn's got all these different franchises he's juggling, each one with its own unique vibe.
Yeah.
But he's still finding ways to connect them without it feeling forced.
It's definitely impressive. I think it comes down to Gunn's passion for these characters and his willingness to take risks.
He's not afraid to try something new.
Exactly. And that's got to be refreshing for fans who are tired of the same old superhero formula.
Totally. It's about keeping things exciting, keeping the audience on the edge of their seats.
Like, who would have guessed that Krypto the Superdog would be shaking up the Superman story?
Right. Those unexpected twists are what make it fun. But even with all the crazy stuff, Gunn always comes back to what makes these characters special, the stuff that's resonating with people for years.
He's not reinventing the wheel or anything, just giving it a fresh spin.
So if we had to sum up Gunn's DC masterclass, what's the big takeaway?
I'd say it's that Gunn's playing the long game. He's building a whole universe, not just a bunch of standalone movies. And he's doing it with heart, with surprises, with real emotional depth.
So basically, hold on tight, because this is going to be one hell of a ride.
And who knows? Maybe we'll even get that Krypto and Peacemaker buddy cop comedy somewhere down the line.
Now that's a movie I would watch.
Me too.
And there you have it, folks. Another deep dive in the books. We've gone from creepy creature features to deep space adventures, all thanks to the wild mind of James Gunn. Until next time, keep exploring.